Hello! Today we're going to be reviewing some of your tier lists that you've sent me. If you remember that video a while back I did putting out the complete tier list on Tier Maker, I'm so excited to see what results we get. First thing I can see here is that the community ranking didn't work out quite as planned. Tier limits only ending up in Tier 8, which is pretty wacky. Most of the decks that are bad seem pretty accurate at least. Let's start with the first one. So this is all archetypes. Imagine each of these decks is at full power and has no banned or limited cards. Okay, so this is this is the full power, everything's crazy tier list. Eldritch. Oh, you mean like floodgates are also not limited. Yeah, I could see that. Like, Imperial Order at 3. Eldritch could be very powerful. I think I would put them a bit lower personally. Spellbooks, I have to disagree with Spellbooks too. We've seen Spellbook of Judgment at 1 in Master Duel, and they've surprisingly been fine. Honestly, I don't know how they're just okay, but the meta has proven that they're okay. I agree with you on Dragon Rulers. Dragon Rulers are nuts. So what they do is they make Dragon Link crazy if they came back to 3. They are hurt quite a bit by hand traps, but they don't need to be the biggest thing ever because they become extenders from another archetype. Sky Strikers being OP? Yeah. So Sky Strikers in a no ban list format become really stupid because they're able to get the most efficient use out of all of the floodgates and hand traps due to how much draw power they have inherently within the deck. I said the Forceful Sentry, Delinquent Duo. These cards are spell cards that synergize with Sky Strikers. You don't need to have infinite negates, you just need to have enough to stop your opponent. Sky Strikers are actually good about that. I have to disagree with some of this. What is your reasoning behind Cyber Dragons being this crazy? For hires and low-end meta, Thunder Dragon is okay as a casual archetype, but it just has too many flaws to really end up higher. It's a level archetype, so it's naturally inconsistent. It's very bricky. I like where you're going with this tier list. There's a lot of really interesting takes here. Personally, I feel like you haven't done what I've done and sat through 10,000 hours of bad decks to get the idea of the game. But this is a really cool start for a tier list. Honestly, I think decks like Tenyis in a no-ban list format, I should say engines like Tenyis, would probably find use in something else if people experimented with them enough, like outside of Sword Cells. The problem is no-ban list events or full power events are so niche, nothing is ever tested, so you end up with stuff like the most recent series of no-ban list tournaments where Kilament just win everything because that's all people want to play. I'd put Exosister a bit higher. Revenge Reds, yeah. Mutants, also fair. I would put Hands a bit lower. So the big problem with hands that honestly I need to reconsider on my tier list, hands are just so vulnerable to being just disrupted, chain blocked. You have to have like 3 specific things go correctly for them to work. Even with the new Thunder hand, hands are just too inconsistent to be slightly better than casual. Fun casual, everything here I generally agree with. You're making a lot of people upset by putting trains this low. Honestly, every time I see a train player at locals or online, I get so excited and they just don't get to do anything. They get blown out by every other deck just doing more than them. Super Heavy Samurai being this low is really funny. Not because they don't belong there, it's because they're about to become like a crazy meta deck in the next few sets. As Konami said, yeah, we've been giving Super Heavy Samurai support for the past 8 years. We've had enough. Now they're going to be meta. Just playable. There's some bold word. Zephyrs are just playable. Rikas are just playable. At full power, too. Okay, I have a deck profile about Rikas. It's wrong. I messed up the combos. But even with the combos being not as crazy as they could be, Rikas plus Sun Avalon are one of the most insane decks you've ever seen. They tribute your opponent's stuff as cost. No one knows how Rika work. And yes, it is at cost. Unfamiliar with this? So the unfamiliar with this section, which is really fair to have in your tier list, has screwed up the giant community rankings tier list because there's stuff in here that's just lower than it needs to be, like tier limits. I really like this tier list a lot. Really cool. Alright, real and true. Alright, we're just coming out here with the hottest it takes. And by hottest it takes, I mean honestly pretty close to what I had. Sprites and tier limits at top. Fair enough. I wouldn't quite consider Sprite a tier 10 deck, especially in this format. Surprisingly, while sprites are so much better than every other deck, compared to tier limits and flunderies, they struggle a lot. You gotta consider how the meta decks are in relationship to each other. Like, tier limits and Sprite, relative to, let's say, Dark Scorpions, are all gonna do the same. Dark Scorpions will lose, but tier limits and compared to Sprite, tier limits are usually gonna blow Sprite out of the water. especially with the Ishizu cards. Good decks, yeah. Draco Slayer. Alright, fair enough. So what is missing here? Honestly, not a lot. I would have put Rika a bit higher, but that's just my personal bias as a plant player. Ooh, we're putting Chaos this high? Well, I guess we could put Chaos with Dragon Link. I think that would be a very fair way to put them. I personally didn't for my tier list, but it makes a lot of sense to put them together, honestly. Bystrals this high? I'd put Bystrals higher. They're, after doing my initial Ishizu tier list, I put Bystrals in 9. I really think I should have moved them up to 10. They're just in that many decks. Crystal Beast being Rogue? Fair enough. They've had way more success than they should have. My thoughts on how they would perform have been completely wrong. I'm really glad for it, because that's another really cool deck to play. I disagree with putting Water Control this high. What they do is they put up 1 to 2 floodgates. Most decks can ignore that or don't care about it. Water Control is also forced into having to play around Umi, and Umi can get destroyed really easily with the amount of removal in this game. Quite simply, the deck doesn't do enough, and it also has the same problem as every other trap deck, even though it's not a trap deck, that it really needs to go first. It's cool casually, but I would not take it to a competitive event. I'd put it in tier 4, but tier 5 is fair. Okay, there's some interesting stuff in the casual section, or the meh deck section, as you have labeled it. Dogmatica. Ooh, I have to disagree with that. Even if they don't see a lot of representation, Dogmatica are still insane. They still just give access to a Trap Negate, Maximus. Well, actually, Maximus is the big counter-argument to me saying Dogmatica is good. Maximus has the issue of it hurts both players, especially in a format with tier limits. But Dogmatica do get so much value off of so little, especially in decks that can use it. Considering how free the engine is, I would at least put it into Rogue. Tinnies definitely are not a meh deck, at least as they are with Sword Souls. If you are considering them on their own as a deck, I still think they're fine, because one of the most popular Tinny strategies before the release of Soul Swords was to just use the Tinnies effect to special summon themselves out, then tribute summon into Vanity's Fiend or Majesty's Fiend, which is stupid effective. A few other things I would critique here, but honestly, it's not too far off. Tier 4 is where most of the issues with the tier list come into place. Tier 3, they do one thing, and that thing's okay. Alright, I agree with you. You know, Monarchs, you know, they tribute summon, and they lock out the extra deck. Just okay, right? Despots, they do funny OTK shenanigans. You know, just okay. Constellars, you know, make some funny rank 5s. Just okay. Ishizu, meta warping tier 0 deck that has enabled several archetypes to go from being unusable to insanely meta warping. Just okay. I'm giving you a hard time here, but I get it. There's so many decks on this list. It's hard to keep track of. Look, I think I put DDDs in casual tier at one point. Making a tier list is hard. I just noticed this, dude, and it's really cool that you organized all the tiers based off extra deck monster type. It makes me really, really happy. I disagree with it. Ghost Tricks are insane. I have an old deck profile on that, and I will plug it because it's great. Off of any one rank 3, Ghost Tricks can go into Utopic F-Zero, or just flat out make 2 rank 4s and search 2. This is because the card Ghost Trick Shot is just gas. It lets you revive one of your materials from grave to immediately XYZ on top of it again with Angel of Mischief. Same thing with Appliancers. Appliancers are also really good. I didn't put Appliancers high enough on my tier list because I think they're not meta, but I do think they're good. Outside of that, this is also a really good. Rest in peace, my boy. Mecha Phantom Beast. You were never good. Hero, but again. Yeah. Originally on my tier list, I had all the evil heroes as different decks, because technically they were originally designed to be different decks. But thanks to 20 years of legacy support, they've all kind of mushed together into one just kind of okay rogue deck. Yeah, Ouroboros was on this list twice. A lot of people noticed it. A lot of people didn't. Ciphers are their own archetype. They're not a dupe. Our Satellar's on here twice. They could be on here twice. Utopic Arms are an offshoot of Utopia. They are not a duplicate deck. It's so hard to communicate all the information needed for this to understand the formatting for the tier list. Because even explaining what I'm defining as the 140 plus decks, 400 plus decks at this point, is just insane. And I have no idea how people even were able to do this. It almost drove me insane to make my series about it. I'm just proud of this community. Alright, this is my boy Pokemon from the Discord. And the concept for this tier list was an alternate reality. I don't know what specifically happened in this alternate reality, but I think I kind of want to live in a world where Vindreds and Volcanics are the best decks in the game. What do they have? Like Volcanic Gatling Gun, where they just effect. Discard 2 Volcanic cards to pull out a Glock and shoot your opponent. Yeah, that sounds about right. I would do it. Like how most of the unplayable decks are still unplayable, even in the alternate universe. Sorry, Koitsu. You're not technically bottom of the barrel this time, but even in this alternate dimension, you're not great. My boy, Gasai. Gasai. Oh, that's not how you pronounce that name. I'm sorry. Classic dude from my Discord made this one for hat. I'm gonna give that a amazing. And, artifacts, trap tricks. It's a bit confusing here since a lot of the cards used to represent the decks on this tier list aren't from hat, but it is still a really good tier list from someone who knows a lot about the format. A hat format is the 2014 format of Yu-Gi-Oh, by the way. You can check out the championships, which were live streamed on my channel and at this card here. They were really fun. A lot of really cool decks from hat. Of course, you will see every deck that was featured in row 10 here, plus some. After that event, though, spoilers, he's going to have to move up gadgets from tier 4, probably up to tier 6. Where did you put my precious Noble Knights? Tier 5? It's sad, but it's not untrue. I don't like them being that near Watts, but ugh, Noble Knights are very rough in that format. Now I have some tier lists that have been submitted to me through my Discord. This one is from Zyko. This tier list is not post Phantom Hypernova. Sorry for bad English. Your English is great, dude. This one is not that important. I couldn't find the Shiranui deck again in the tiers, so if it's below 4, we consider it to be tier 4. Okay, that one is very important as a Shiranui main. We have to put Shiranuis in tier 10 or not on the list at all. Dragon Link is the only deck I've put in tier 9 without considering its current power. I think the deck deserves to be in tier 9 due to its resilience. The deck took so many hits, but it can still play and make great fields. And I think when the card Duality and Shadow's Light come to TCG, it'll be even better than now. The new Bystal Synchro is also pretty good, and I think it will replace Baron. Because he can extend the plays you can make, and it is also a negate, so I think the deck will continue to play for a long time. That's why I put it on tier 9. And also, Dragon Link is my favorite deck, so that's also influenced it. And that is a very fair take about Dragon Link. Dragon Link is a very complicated deck, so I could have missed something in my initial run through the tier list. The Bystal Dragons that are close to Dragon Link, I think, will go down in the tier list as soon as Dispater comes out. But right now, I think it is the best deck for the Dragon lovers to play in the current metagame. That's fair. Although, I think the Dragon lovers are going to be playing Dragon Maid, because they're actually decent with Bystals. Draco Slayer is the best Pendulum deck right now, in my opinion. I agree. The deck is so consistent and can also put so many floodgates with a great facility. And go into a Morphage Sloth, or the Dinosaur Power protecting it from battle and destruction. You can search Secret Village or Necro Valley. You have a lot of great options. The deck can also run Dimension Shifter. I don't know if it can. I've seen people do it. I don't think it's great, though. So the actual list is very solid. Very close to what I had. Put Dragon Link a bit higher. The reason I didn't put Dragon Link higher is it just didn't have the results to bump it up there. I could only copium so hard with it personally. Everything else seems to be a very solid list. Machina for rank 10 trains that high. Yeah, that's fair. Or Earth Machines, I should say. Makes sense for tier 6. You have a lot more of a tighter rogue section than I did. My rogue section just kind of vomits out everywhere. But it makes sense if we're really just getting the cream of the crop here. Not a incorrect way to do it at all. So your casual block is gigantic. Everyone's list of casual decks is gigantic. Most everything here seems pretty solid. You're going to make the Mermail stands really mad by having them this low, but it is what it is. I personally think Necrons are a bit higher. Again, I'm a well-established Necros copium, so my boy Shiranuis have been done a bit dirty, especially with the new trap. Because the new trap really just is, flip the trap, your opponent cannot special summon, then becomes an extender. Shiranuis have a bit more than you're thinking. Same thing with Ghostrix. As a pure deck, they might have some issues, but that's the great thing, you don't have to play them pure. And lower tiers seem to be just about correct. Umbral Horribles is the second worst deck in the game. Insulting. You insult my Umbral Horribles? I'll go on a record right now saying that Umbral Horrors could beat every other bottom tier deck in tiers 1 and 2. Easily. And if anyone does not believe me, you can message me in my Discord and challenge me to games. I will eat you alive with my Umbral Horrible list. Next tier list by Locked Eagle. Pretty solid list. This one's a bit interesting because I think he put some cards exactly as they were, just the cards. Like Zombie World and Necro Valley, which are meant to represent the Zombie World Baldarok strategies and Gravekeepers respectively, just as strong meta because the cards themselves are meta side deck cards. Some of the best in the game. Although that doesn't explain why you put that one particular Earthbound Immortal card that high on the list. Outside of that though, it's a pretty solid list. I think Magispectors might be a bit too high. I really wouldn't put them as being an engine with Draco Slayer pendulums. They only run like 8 cards from Magispectors. It's not really the full thing. I do appreciate you putting Ghostrix in the strong casual. I think that's a bit too high for him, but it does make me feel better. Well, what is this in casual? You can't just put my boy Evil Eye in the casual right next to my other boy Necros. Same with Libromancers. These decks are insane and get so much value. A lot of the other decks in like and Chirnu is also in casual. All right, we're just attacking all my personal favorites here. Look, it's my copium and I get to have it. Here's one from Majin Phoenix, ranking 400 plus Yu-Gi-Oh decks on power and baseness. How based are these decks? I would not say Tearlaments are based. If you put Tearlaments on an XY chart, X being based, Y being power, Tearlaments got all the power, 0 based. They're the exact opposites of Gradle, which is all the based, no power. Very interesting tier list. It's hard to know what you're calling based here, as you also have to take into account power of the decks. It's like Sword Soul is 8 power, 2 base, right? So that's a 10, right? UA Perfect Ace. UAs are based, yeah, I'll give it to him. Don't think Herald is, but what do I know? It just negated my opinion. What is unbased? That's what I want to know. Neospace? Not based. Ooh. Frightful's not based. Who is it that plays Frightfurs? FNAF fans? Hold on, you tell me that Koitsu, fucking Koitsu, Eitsu, and Doitsu aren't based? Can't be friends anymore. We're done. Kicked out of my server. You put Watts as not based, you're making enemies. If you were just ranking decks on power, we could be friendly. We could be non-biased. We could be scientific about it. But no, you had to throw in power and basedness. So now it's an insult. And I can't even like sugarcoat it, you know? Koitsu is a 0 on power and a 0 on baseness. So it's like 0. But could cards have a negative power or negative baseness associated with them? What did my Chronomaly boys do to end up this low? Because they're like a 4 power, you know, casual. Did my plate scare you? Do you have bad memories with grandmother's fine china? Is that why the plate terrifies you? Is that why the plate is not based? I'm joking around here. This is really fun. I'm honest, I keep saying this, but I'm honestly surprised anyone actually completed the tier list. It's a lot. And that would be the last one. Thanks everyone for sticking around for this. I know it's been a bit of a different video, but I really hope you all enjoyed it. I'm going to have to edit this down. It's going to be real fun. I'll see you guys next time.